years back when I bought my home, I had the opportunity to work with Tom and had a great experience. Tom has been in this industry of finance and mortgage for roughly 20 years. He's a lifelong resident of the Heber Valley. He's a University of Utah graduate. As I was asking for some more information, he revealed that he was the 8th grade arm wrestling champion. And the person he had to defeat was actually a girl. So, Tom, with that, time's all yours. Let's give him a big round of applause.
I'm not good at standing in one place, so I'll do this. So the record actually is this, that I had to beat a girl along the way, but it was a guy I finally beat in 8th grade. I'm sure you cared about that stat, so I'm going to share that. The other thing that was kind of fun about the Heber Valley to me, this is a story that's really sensitive to me and special. So my first day was August 4th, and it was the first day of football practice, and I was a junior in high school. So I moved up from Sandy, 1986. Coach Tree was the coach, and I didn't know a soul. I literally got out of the moving truck and went to football practice. And at the end of the football practice, a couple guys came up to me, Tom Bonner did, and a couple guys, Scott Kohler, and they said, "Hey, you want to go watch a movie tonight with us?" And I thought, that'd be great. I like that. So I was, "Where do you live?" Came and picked me up. So we'll be there at 5:30. And I was 15, just turning 16, but in Sandy, movies normally started around 7 or 8. I just thought, hey, whatever, I'm not going to rock the boat. So he came and picked me up, and he had a really cool Camaro. I got in the back, an old Camaro with little teeny windows. And since I really hadn't been to Heber yet, I literally moved in, or went to Midway, and I hadn't really even taken that big, long road across the North Hills to Heber yet. He came to the stoplight from Midway into Heber, took a right, went down Main Street, turned around, came back down Main Street, turned around again, and he went back down Main Street, he turned around, and he went back down Main Street. And I said, this guy's lost, and he is embarrassed to ask directions. I was going to say a peep. So I'm in the back, and again, I don't really know where I'm going, but out of that little window in the back of the Camaro, I could see a theater every time we passed it. There's one. Well, maybe it's not the one we're going to. And for about 2 hours, we went up and down Main Street looking for a theater. I knew where one was, but I wasn't sure it was the right one. About the end of 2 hours, he stopped at the one stop, and he got out. And I said, he's finally asking for directions. And there was a really cute girl in there. I don't know who it was. I was brand new, but he talked to her for a while, and then immediately went right to the theater. And we watched, doesn't matter. It was one of those that go, well, I shouldn't. That was my first experience in the Heber Valley, literally. And then I learned a couple days later, oh, you dragged Maine. And I hadn't driven yet, so I didn't even know what that meant. And then I thought it was kind of funny. And so my sister and I had been sent into town by my dad to find some hardware store and get something that we needed. And I told Lori the story, my sister Lori, and she said, "You did what? You went up and down Main Street for 2 hours?" I said, "Yeah, I don't understand that either." And so we took a right at the light, and we went down. I said, "Well, where's this hardware store?" She said, "I don't know." And I said, "Okay, you look on the right side, and I'll look on the left side. And I'll see if we can find this thing." So we took a right and went down. We turned around. We went back down Main Street. Couldn't find it. Turned around. Went back down Main Street. And my sister Lori, anyone know my sister? You maybe don't. She's got a personality times 4. She screamed at the top of her lungs like we just ran over an animal or something. And she said, "Pull the car over right now." She says, "We almost completed a main. Pull off, go around the block, and we'll get back on again." 2 more times around, we found Coast to Coast Hardware and got the piece. Has nothing to do with what we're talking about today, but there's a little bit of my first impression. With that, I gotta say, no matter what conversation comes up, if we talk about this valley, it's emotional to me. I love this valley. I moved here again as a junior in high school, and I would hear all of my friends, new friends, say, "Boy, I can't wait to get out of here. I can't wait to go to school somewhere else. And I'm so tired of podunk Heber." And I had just come over the mountain, but I was like, "Are you kidding me? Do you realize that I come home from school and I head right up to the mountains? And I can hang out there and it's just right there. This is the coolest place I've ever been. And personally, I don't really care about culture. I'm not very good at any of that stuff. I'm more of the hang out outside, and I always tell people, and maybe this is too much to disclose, my wife's here, and I'm probably crossing the line of embarrassment, but my heritage is a third English and a third Swiss and a third white trash. I like hanging out, doing motorcycles and that kind of a thing. So that's a little bit about me. The part that I'm really proud of is, here's my little intro. Oh, whoops. And this, the little pointer thing didn't work, so I have to push the button. So on the very top there, I'm a Wasatch High School graduate, and I truly am proud of that. And I'm proud of the school today. I'm proud of what those teachers do, and it's been fun because my son Tate, who's now 18, his first grade teacher was my wife's first grade teacher. And now a lot of the teachers at the high school that my son and my daughter have are the same. So there's really quite a bond there for me. I love this valley. And I graduated from the University of Utah with a degree in behavioral science. Now again, that might throw some people off. We're going to talk about money today. We're going to talk about finances. But the fun thing about it for me, and it started with that degree and it's just been experiences thereafter, money, from my experience, money is, if not the, certainly one of the most emotional topics that you will ever cover. Especially when you have to decide to do it in a marriage, or it's time to make big decisions, certainly children. When there's that kind of stuff involved, behavior and money are hand in hand. 20 years in mortgage financing in the Heber Valley. Again, that last part. I've been on Main Street for that long. So I started in '94, and here we are in 2014. And I can say, you know, in those days, in the good old days, and way back when, and I have a lot of stories. I'm excited about where we're going. And then I married to Jennifer Rasmus. She made the list too. And she loves when she gets pointed out. And she probably is going to stand up, and she's over there in the green sweater. 21 years, just last week, actually. Come on, that's great. That was for her. I realized that. Congratulations, Jennifer, for making it all the way through that time. And then I have 4 kids. I have a senior, a sophomore, a 7th grader, and a 3rd grader. Very proud of that fact, and I can talk all day about that too as well. Let me tell my story a little more. This isn't going to be all about me, but I think I have to introduce the point. In those 20 years of mortgage financing, I learned it's not just about taking a loan application. So, when I started out, this was my motto. My motto was, if someone sits across the desk from me, I get them a loan. I will make this happen. No matter what, I will go high and low and get this person the money they need to get that house that they want. And that worked really well, especially at the closings. Hey, thanks for getting it done. But after I was in the business a couple, 3 years, I started realizing just because I got it done wasn't necessarily the best thing for them. I overheard a comment once about 3 years into the business, and I had busted, do we say busted my butt in here? We worked very hard. We worked very hard to get this person who had bad credit and had a tough situation a loan and had to pay a higher interest rate. And they knew it, they understood it, they signed the papers. And 3 years later I hear, yeah, I went to Tom Stone and I had to pay 9% interest. And I was like, what? Wait a minute. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I didn't do the very best thing for that person. Maybe that isn't what it should be about. And so I started asking more questions. It wasn't just about getting it done, it was, what is it that could be the best thing for you, and how should we go about it? And so that's what started, well, I better tell the rest of that story. So that's what kind of started this supplementary thought process I have that I'm going to share today. If it's not just about an application, what is it? Well, in my world, it's somewhat unique because I see pieces of pretty much every other financial pieces of the world. So I have to see their credit, so I understand how credit reports work and how to fix it and how to look at it to a point anyway. I look at their jobs, how much money they make, and how long they've been there, and how they manage their money. I look at their debt structure. I look at divorce decrees. I look to see I have to read the details about it. I generally need to see their bank statements, to see how the money flows. I need to see a 401k statement, sometimes for reserves, so you see what their retirement plan looks like. And just these pieces, I realize, I see pieces pretty much all the way through. But there's that phrase that says you know just enough to be dangerous. And so there's a piece of this that I go, I feel I'm pretty qualified at. There's pieces that I can probably give some information, step 1, step 2. Looking at Brian, there's an insurance piece as well. There's pieces there to look at and realize that, you know what, I can do this part, but we probably need to get you in touch with somebody else. Certainly if someone wants to buy a house, I can do the financing part. Let's get you with a real estate agent that really knows what they're doing, for example. A title company that can take care of the transaction the way it should. So it just kind of kept going and going with how many people are important in making any of the transactions work. And so I started saying, can I get you in touch with so-and-so? Can I get you in touch with this person? Can I do this? And sometimes I'd go with them and sit down with them. And I thought, wait a minute. If I do this right, the way it should be done, and if somebody wants it, it's not just me taking an application. It's building a team of people who know their stuff around the person. So that, because it could be that, hey, I can pull money out of my 401k for my down payment on a house. That may be the dumbest thing they could do. It may be better to do a zero down. What about the type of insurance you need? What about, there's so many variables that have to be discussed. And I believe we're fragmented, at least in this valley, a little too much. I think we're all putting us into, we go to our offices and we don't collectively come together as a team. So there's a lot going on there. Now, that's, well, sometimes I have, I can keep going, but I better move on. So I have 2 intentions. Number 1, I'm going to introduce you to a new expanded view of money. This actually goes into my behavioral side of money and how I've looked at it, and I can tell you it's been 20 years of processing. I guess if I had a skill, it would be, I think I know how to listen, and I've learned how to ask questions. Because I do know I don't know everything. Especially when it comes to money, because guess what? I've learned that every single person in this room, and every person I've met, has a unique circumstance. It is such a case by case. And what we try and do, especially on the internet, is we try and put people into boxes. And yes, everybody might need estate planning, but that particular estate planning plan may not be the right one for you. And so there's unique situations. Number 2, I kind of touched on this, it takes more than just one of us. So, through this process of mine, as I put a supplementary idea into just taking an application in my mortgage business, I've realized there's a lot of things about money that we need to understand about ourselves. I think most of us go to work every day, we get the kids where they need to go, we get maybe we go bowling, whatever it is that you do, and you go to bed. And you wake up and go to work the next day. And there's a lot of things that, oh my goodness, it's been a few years, I haven't even thought about what really matters in the end when it comes to finances. So I created a financial personality test. And I did this with the help of about 5 other people. So when I say I did it, I collectively did it, I created it, but I had different people in the industries with me that would create questions. And actually it's 25 questions. I have a website if you ever want to go to this. And I have colors. And I have a score. Now I probably want to describe this and then I'll show you. So there's 4 colors. Green, blue, orange, and red. And that's a personality. Now, like any personality test, some people can be maybe a color and a half or 2 colors, or they can say. But what it does is it makes you think. Well, how do I handle money? How do I look at money? Now, green, by the way, is someone who is very analytical, who looks at all, the T's are always crossed and the I's are dotted. They generally are pretty well in control of their money. Blue is somebody who is cautious, risk averse, don't always understand, and so they always take the safe route. Orange is somebody who is one that goes real hard. They know what they're supposed to do. They get themselves on that budget. They do all the things, and they go crazy with it, and then they crash. And they forget to do it. And then they get back on again. So it's almost like, exercise, those kind of things. Same thing with money. We know what we're supposed to do, but sometimes it's hard to stay on. Then red is an impulse buyer. Generally, it's more of an emotional purchase. I buy because I'm having a down time. Or when I go to the mall, I buy it and I know I'll deal with it later. So that's the idea. But I want you to understand where we're coming from with this. The colors are just to say, where am I? Where do I fit? I remember somebody said, can I be a rainbow? I said, well, it's for you, not me. So if you're a rainbow, that's great. I added another piece, and that was a score. The score is because if you're a green, you were pretty much born that way. If you were a red, same thing. You're pretty much born that way. Of course, the blue and the orange, that's who you are. And really, don't be ashamed of the fact if you're a red and you're an impulse buyer, you probably aren't that good at money. But you probably have a really good time. The greens might be really good with their money, but they're generally not very fun to be around. Now again, I'm not putting anyone in this box. So personality is what you are, and that's okay. And be aware of who you are. And I'm going to say you pretty much can't change that. That's who you are. A score, though, is what I call a behavior score. That's the part that you can work on. That's the part you can say, okay, and it's 20 to 100 on this test. And 100 means you're perfect at finances, and 20 means you need some help. So if I'm a red, I probably will score low. What a red normally means is, you're not going to be able to do it yourself. You want to sometimes, but you're not going to. An orange, you might be the one that flip-flops. So guess what? You just need to say, I need help. I need someone to help me make my plan, to help me sit down and do a little bit of a budget, to do these things. A red can improve their behavior score. You can have a red with an 80 credit score. I do that too. A behavior score. And so to understand a personality, and then understand a behavior score. So after you take the test, you're going to get an answer, something like this. Your financial personality is red. My behaviors, my budget does not meet my needs. I use credit for meeting expenses without an adequate level of control. My income employment is not adequate. I am not content. So income, job, that's also important. I am not content with my current lifestyle, and future planning has not been a focus. Buys because of unmet needs, willing to act, willing to take risk, spontaneous, not a numbers person, doesn't read the fine print, buys fashion. Now that score on there was just put in there for fun, just to see what it is. Orange, my budget does not meet my needs, generally. I use credit for meeting expense without an adequate level of control. My income employment is not adequate for my current needs. I am not content with my current lifestyle. Future planning has not been a focus. Now those are all negative, and this is an algorithm. It's just conversation. Knows but doesn't always do. Buys because of tradition as much as value. Researches but doesn't follow through the numbers. Doesn't always read the fine print. Buys the generic version of latest fashion. A stepping stone purchaser. Just for the record, a stepping stone purchaser is someone that says, I'm going to be really good and buy the cheap version. And if anyone has ever bought the cheap version, it's good for a little while, and then you go buy the one that's really you wanted in the first place. I think a stepping stone purchase is the more expensive way to go. Blue. My budget generally meets my needs. I try and manage my credit wisely. I'm generally content. I get my lifestyle, try to focus on future planning. Safety, low risk, seeks advice, reads consumer reports, trusts the numbers to others, skims the fine print, conservative, buys for value, not necessarily because you want it. I think of a car, you might buy a Toyota Corolla instead of a Mustang because it's more of a value. And then green. My budget does meet my needs. I manage my credit wisely. I'm very content. Controls resources. So again, it does appear that green is generally the better money manager. And the others may be a variation where we might need some assistance. I found this in all of my research, and I love it. It sits on my desk. It came from MSN Money, and it was an article where somebody was interviewing financially successful people. These are considered millionaires. The question, have you found any commonalities among the people you've interviewed? His answer was, their personality styles vary. Some people say, they should be this way. Well, he found some are introverts, some are extroverts, but their belief systems around money are the same. That was the one thread that really helped me throughout the process. They all have a really positive relationship with money. They think about money in terms of freedom as opposed to the negative relationship a lot of people have with money. So I have another test that's not on here that I call the financial emotions test. I have a lot of sentences and I have you put in adjectives. How does money make you feel? Does it make you feel guilty? Does it make you feel happy? Does it make you feel safe? Does it make you feel, I have about 35 adjectives that people can choose. And how you feel about money is your relationship with money. That's a funny way to describe it, that you have a relationship with money. But if you think about money and relationship, marriage, kids, schooling, transportation, money's the root of trying to get this done. If you are always scared of money, or you're scared that it's always going to be gone, then there may be some decisions that are not going to be wise for you in the future. These people looked at it as freedom. Now that's more of an entrepreneurial spirit, and that's kind of where it fit, is, hey, you know what, let's try this again. It's fun to hear the stories of the people that have been successful in business. Lots of times you hear they've been bankrupt at least once. I don't promote that, but it doesn't scare them. Let's try this again. Let's try this again. And it's a positive relationship with money. This one's always fun for me. So, financial balance. So on one side of the scale is financial, only money. The other side is emotion. So let me just give you a scenario. Someone sits down with me and says, I think I might want to buy a house. Husband and wife, let's put it that way. Husband says, I don't care what's going to happen, the payment just can't be more than $1,400 a month. End of discussion. And she says, and she's over there going, and I said, so, and I kind of read that a little bit, and I said, so, well, yeah, he's right, but I really want a view of Timpanogos, and I want my kids to go to this particular school, and I want granite countertops. Oh, is that okay? You know, is that okay? And he's like, as long as it's $1,400. So the question is, who's right? And the answer that I give is that it's a balance. I believe if we are too, and this might sound funny, you know, you're here to talk about finance, and finance is, you know, keep track of your money, don't go into debt. I completely believe this. But if life stinks, and all it is a negative relationship with money, you're not in balance. And so there might be a give and take. If husband's got to go to $1,500 and she gets a view of Tim and the school, but granite countertop's got to wait till later, it's a pretty decent little balance. She gets some emotion, because guess what? If you and I don't satisfy that emotion, and we try and make the right decision at that moment, inevitably, unless you're a real dark green, you're going to say, I can't take it anymore, and you're going to go do a stupid purchase. You have to keep yourself in balance. That's kind of like the husband and wife thing is what it is, but personally, you have to realize that too. As a stepping stone purchaser too. When you say, okay, I need a new car. I really want that one. Ooh, I want that for 20 years, but it's a little too much money. How can you balance that out? That's a one-on-one, case by case. But my opinion, and I'm sharing an opinion here, I always say I'm open to sharing my opinion freely because it's worth nothing unless you want it. So that's why I'm okay sharing my opinion. My opinion is, if that's what you want, let's devise a plan to get it. Because if that's truly something that you need to have satisfied, you'll keep going, and if you don't take care of it, it will come back and you'll make a dumb decision because it'll be more irrational. So the questions, so I actually do this. Again, it's more than an application for me. I actually sit down and I have a plan. If anybody wants to do it, I'm happy to do it with you. And you might say, you know, what does he know? Well, guess what? I don't really know maybe your situation or what you're dealing with, but I do believe through these 20 years, what I've learned how to do is ask questions. And then I actually sit and listen. And I try and pick apart a couple words that you might say. And I start off, I say, well, you know, thanks for coming in. It's generally clients that have done a mortgage with me or people who know me, and they come in and I say, what do you want? And they go, yeah, well, I want $1 million. And I'm like, okay, and I write $1 million. And I said, no, seriously, what do you want? And he goes, and then it takes about 3 or 4 times. What do you want? Well, I've wanted to have 4-wheelers for the last 10 years so I can take my kids camping, just like my parents did. And my parents have a cabin, but when we go there, they're so bored. 4-wheelers. I haven't taken my wife on a trip for 10 years. She would love to go to Hawaii, but we can't afford it. Hawaii. I want to retire at 55. Retire at 55. If this question has any sort of limitation to it, the answers have any limitations to it, then it's not the right answer, and there'll be something left. So I always say, just open it up. What do you want? I've never yet had Ferrari or Lamborghini. Most people are realistic, at least that I've met with. You don't go, to that, oh, I need to have so much of this or that. What do you want? It's truly a question. Why do you go to work? Why are we doing this money thing? I want to, you may just say, I want more time. Someone said, I want more options. Options. That's kind of broad, but we can take that. So what kind of options are you looking for? Well, I want to be able to ride my mountain bike every morning, and in the afternoon if I want to. So you're looking for some time. You want time. That's the first question, which can go on for a long time. Then I ask, why do you want it? Why do you want it? That's the only answer I get. Well, I want it because, again, we never take the time to do this. So to stop and say, why do I want to do this? I want to provide this atmosphere in my home. I want to feel better. I want to feel freedom. I want to be able to travel. What is your reason? Why do you want it? How are you going to get there? I don't know. That's kind of where I come in and say, well, let's look at some options. Now here's that other piece I was talking about. Who can help you get there? Who, and it doesn't have to be a person, it can be financial planner, accountant, mortgage guy, insurance guy, whatever. It might be mechanic, I don't know. Who? Generally try and keep it to 5 or less so we can focus. But who can help you get there? When are you going to do it? I've had a few people that go, this is exciting, fantastic, well thanks. What day and what time are we going to start? And what's the first plan? What's the part of the plan? This is where we all don't want to. By the way, we feel restricted. The reason we don't do budgets is because we think we're restricted. If you've ever done a true budget, which we now call tracking, because budget has such a negative connotation to it, if you actually start tracking your expenses, you're going to find some freedom. Because you actually start giving yourself a wage. You actually give yourself a little savings account. And then it gives you freedom in the long run. So, when are you going to start? And then at the end, where will it take you? Now that actually is an arrow going back to the what do you want? The where is truly the direction, but it actually gives you and that will be a question at the beginning, the first time, and at the end. Because you'll find that at the beginning, when you sat down and made that plan, your plan will inevitably change. It always happens. You'll add and subtract some things in that plan. It takes more than one of us. I think I've talked about this. There's more than that. Title companies, appraisers, accountants, insurance, attorneys, bank guys. I didn't get you down. Okay. I guess I could say I feel so passionate about this, I thought I'd make a really good TV reality show. So I made a TV reality show about it. Let me show it to you. I do have to confess, it's 10 minutes long, and we're getting right to the edge, and I know that. It's 10 minutes long, so just prepare. That helps people. You're like, how much longer is this thing going to go? 10 minutes. And there's one piece that I start talking like a kung fu movie, like this, and my mouth doesn't match, and I know that. And then the second part is when my friend Wade, he's talking, and then we have the wrong voiceover, but it's only like 10 seconds. Just prepare that. Let's see. My name's Tom Stone. I've been a mortgage banker for 20 years. Some of my clients have a lot of money, and they say, I've got a guy. And I thought, well, boy, wouldn't that be nice if everybody had a guy? I've got a crew of guys that really know their business.
My name's Clint Kelson. I'm from Midway, Utah. Been in the real estate business for 18 years.
Clint is the most successful real estate professional I know.
Been involved in some commercial development, also residential development in Utah and also outside of Utah when the market was good and also when the market was poor.
And Wade is an attorney with years of experience.
So we find out the value of the equity valuation. We got to get a copy of a divorce decree. I have my ear to the economy since the real estate boom, 2004, 2005, 2006. Seen a lot of wealthy guys go broke. Seen a lot of not so wealthy guys make a lot of money and then quickly lose it.
We know what we're talking about. Now, we like motorcycles. A lot. So I've got this crazy idea to go out on the road and meet people who are having financial difficulty and see if we can help.
Tom called me and he said, I've got an idea. I about died because it is so far out of my element.
Completely seriously, I am scared to death trying to teach people how to improve their lives.
Wade and I are brothers. When Tom said that he wanted me and Wade involved, I couldn't believe the idea and I couldn't believe that he wanted to go do it.
of course, not knowing that kind of reaction would get, so I was very nervous, concerned. We were looking at Henderson, Nevada. There's gotta be a lot of people down there that have been hurt by this economy. Let's go find them. See if we can help them. You know, probably my biggest fear is not ever being able to provide enough.
I wanted to buy a house in a year when my list was up.
I know that if we have a few minutes of someone's time and a little bit of trust, we can provide some meaningful financial assistance to somebody who really needs it. So would you share with us your financial situation? Coming into town, I was very nervous. I thought, man, how are we really going to get anybody to talk to us? How would you feel about that, sharing that kind of stuff? How are they going to trust us?
I have no idea if I'm going to be able to connect. I mean, their walks of life, different race, different religion, different financial experience. Are you married?
Separate.
Okay, you divorced? That can be expensive.
It can't be.
I don't get nervous talking to strangers, even going up to them and talking to them, but I get nervous to give them the right advice, to give them the right direction.
We're going around and we're talking to people about what their issues are and where they're struggling, whether it's real estate or trying to save them some money in insurance.
Definitely thought to myself, who do you think you are? Do you think you can come and do this? We gotta at least try and see if we can help. And see if we can lend our years of experience to help people get back on track and give them some hope for solving their financial problems.
So, we roll into town. We're trying to find somebody that we can talk to.
You ready?
Let's do it. We go to a little restaurant, the Blueberry Hill. It's just your mom and pop place. We found a Hawaiian native. Her name was Ray. She had her great-grandchildren with her. Your kids are cute. Oh my gosh. And I'm thinking, what could I possibly say to her that could mean anything?
We tell her what we're doing and why we're there, and she starts talking.
Little tourist and convention industry crowd.
So your job suffered, obviously.
Yeah. I didn't know exactly what they wanted, so they just wanted to ask me a few questions, and so I thought, well, a couple of minutes while I'm waiting for my takeout order.
So when did you buy that house?
2006.
So you bought it on the top.
Yeah.
When did you lose your home?
February, this month.
Last month, just barely.
The moment she said that she lost her home in foreclosure, I recognized I could help her. So what do you fear the most right now?
The two banks
Banks.
chasing me down, coming after me.
Do not be afraid of the banks.
How do I minimize the damage?
Definitely find out what your banks are intending. Get a contact person inside that bank. Find out where you are.
We had quite a conversation, and at this point we thought, well, okay, I hope we've given you some good information. And then she says, can I say one more thing?
They had to wait, they all died. And it was so awful. Like, I don't know how a person...
I have a son, and my son, he became schizophrenic. My son ended up shooting, killing his sister, my daughter, my mother, my father, and another grandchild. And I lost all of them. So,
Oh my God.
yeah.
And from that, a result of having an inheritance came.
Through that, I got about $40,000. I got a life insurance policy,
After I got over the initial reaction, I realized we can help. This is stuff we know about. What if Wade and Clint and I were able to meet you at your home and help you with the paperwork and make some phone calls and help you through this process? Would you want some help to do that?
Sure. I've been doing this by myself all this time.
We asked, could we come to your house and could we read the paperwork so we can really see what it is the banks have or don't have as far as an option to come after her. Look at this. God bless you. A Merry Christmas from a hard-working, union-working, Christian, single-parent family and caretaker of orphans and homeless teens. Yeah.
Hi, Ray.
So we walk into her house. She has this table right in the front room, and it's full of papers. And I thought, man, this has been the center of her life for 2 years.
It's just like, it's endless. It's It's never ending.
You know what, let's start digging in. Can we take a peek at them?
I was looking for two things, a note and a trust deed. That's what I wanted to see.
So, 230,000-ish went up in smoke, but yet the second is still coming after her. The first, though, could still come after her for the balance. She's in a really rough spot. When we were visiting with Ray, she had received a phone call, ironically enough, by the second note trust deed holder.
We were calling about second mortgage. There's a principal balance of $70,847.32. We haven't been paid receipt of payment since February of 2009.
What I did was got on the phone call with her and walked her through the dialogue that she needs to have with that bank. What kind of amount are you thinking about when you say that you might be willing to take a lot less on behalf of the bank?
She would need to make an offer to us, something that she is able to afford and pay.
I'm assuming you want that offer in writing, is that correct?
Yes.
She can move forward and start a progressive dialogue with the bank.
And that's just one option. The other option is to find a place where the seller, now you'd have to have good rent history for this to happen, is for seller financing. Talk to the owner or property manager and see if they would sell it and go into a lease with an option to purchase and exercise that option and establish the purchase price that it is right now in this downtime. Then when the market comes back, you can sell it, make your profit, and move to Hawaii and live out your days.
Just know that it's a little at a time. You do a little bit every month, it'll be bought in 10 years. Sorry, we're not going to hit the headline news with the fact that Ray's consistent and she keeps on going, but that is exactly how you achieve your goals, and that's how you get there.
I'll do it. Thank you for coming into my life.
Again, we haven't solved your problems today because it still is you that makes the decisions, but we hope it just kind of helps you get some clarity and a little bit of direction. And then hope.
Little old me in this situation. Thank you. I feel so tall.
Ray, you're wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I want people to be happy. It really is quite rewarding to help somebody out.
Cool.
Now, we're going to explain in a minute here, but to the extent that you can,
It was very important, by the way.
without, disclosing.
There's just so many people that are in the exact same situation, and we're going to help them if we can.
I'm really, really grateful and thankful that this chance meeting happened. Where were these guys before? But, thank God they came into my life now and put some, light through the dark tunnel.
We may not be able to solve everyone's problems, but I'm certain we can provide sound advice, give someone direction, and restore hope to someone who might have lost it.
We have just a few minutes, I'm aware of that. What's your question? Now, what I mean by that is, everybody has their own question. What's yours? And let's get that question answered. Where do I want to go next? What am I dealing with? What is the weight? I remember hearing of a guy, does this work? Oh, yeah. Once again, sorry. I remember hearing of a guy who we talked about it, and he was a real estate agent, and based off of commissions, and his mortgage payment was in the thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. And he said he described it as putting a backpack on every day. And if that sale didn't happen, what could happen to his home and to his family? Why don't we ask the questions? Most don't. I think we should make time. I do a radio show every Tuesday today at 10 o'clock, and then it actually comes on again at 6 o'clock, and then I record them and put them on my Facebook. And what I've done is I've invited individuals on the show with me. So real quick, I want to, Sandy Mahoney, she owns KTMP, so raise your hand, Sandy. She's allowed that opportunity, and I appreciate that. Today we had Brian Scott. We talked about estate planning and wills and trusts and the differences between the two and who should be doing that. Last week was Jeff Finderly. He's the president of the Board of Realtors right now. We talked about short sales, foreclosures in detail. I had Kevin on there. Kevin talked about banking with construction loans and what they're looking for and how you get a loan. I had Jeff Bradshaw on there, especially around tax time, talking about taxes, and there's more. There's more. My idea is that I want to have all of us improve our business. And yes, I'm focusing on the financial part of the community, but I also believe that the financial part of this community is working together, and then everybody else, the retailers included, will benefit. So, yeah, I put down a list of some folks that have been out already. I forgot I did that. So I've had investments and short sales and insurance and self-employment. That was fun. Marilyn Porter, she built the business and told us how she did it. When it's all said and done, we work so we can have money. You and I came to the Chamber of Commerce at the end result, at the very end, so that hopefully we can pick up somebody else who might come and use our services. Somebody else that might say, hey, you know what, and expand our business and grow it. And at the end of the day, we hope to put some money in our bank account. I don't mean to say that everything's about money. I get that there's the sensitive part and you care about people, but at the end of the day, your goals are achieved if there's money in your bank account. So I would hope that this would be a place to share my thought that I hope to create unity and a referral base and to get more involved in the Chamber of Commerce. I think our competition is more so on the internet and the Wasatch Front than it is amongst each other. There's room for us, but there's a lot of people who go to the internet and the Wasatch Front for their business. And I believe it needs to be coming together. Yes, I'm talking financially first, but certainly all the retailers, all the businesses. And that is what you are doing, Ryan, and I know that. And so I back you up, I hope, and add to that. I think I'm done. So, thank you for your time. I appreciate this opportunity. I love being involved in the community. If I can help you, please come see me. If it's nothing else, if it's not even time for that loan or anything else, that's fine, let's chat. I love creating plans for people. I have people that it took 2 years or 3 years to get what they want. And they have a place to go and ask. And then I, and hopefully we, can say, you know what, I don't know the answer to that, but let me have you go down the road. Let me have you talk, let me call that person real quick. They'll help you better than I can. So together we can do it. Thank you.